What's up, everybody? Welcome to Dharma Time here on WPSN99.com. I am your host, the Dharma Guy. As always, I am joined with the Dope Doctor. What's up, brother?
What's up, brother? How you doing? Why
I'm
why do you
doing well.
sound like you don't have your headset on today?
I don't know. I do have my headset on,
Oh, okay.
and
Wow.
you
You
look
got a
like
new one?
you're in a completely different area
I'm a
there.
different spot.
You're in our
Yeah,
storage side.
yeah. I'm in studio like C.
That's right. And I see the whiteboard hasn't been touched in probably what 2 years.
Yes, it has.
That's
Look,
the same. That's the same thing we wrote up there like a long time ago.
is it really? Look at it again. Are you
I
sure
mean,
about that?
I can't see from there. It could be different.
Well, that's
Based
it
upon
is.
your
It
tone,
is.
I'm going to say it's different.
And then there's a monkey there. You just saw the surf monkey walk by. A surf monkey ninja just walked by. You see
That's
the
right,
monkey
man.
up there on the whiteboard? That monkey wasn't there. Oh, look, it's random.
Nice. Um, anyways, so lighthearted show today for everybody who's tuning in.
Yeah,
We know
yeah,
everybody's probably getting ready for Thursday and kind of doing their thing, and
yeah.
probably not focused on Facebook at the moment or podcasting. But
Right,
for those of you who are
right.
tuning in, we appreciate you, and for those of you who are watching this after the fact, thank you so much.
Mhm.
Make sure
Yep.
that you like us and follow us on social media. I am at the Dharma Guy. He is at the Dope Doctor. We
Yes,
collectively
sir.
are at WPSN99 as well as at Now Matters More. And a quick reminder for those of you who are paying attention, we have a couple more weeks to where you can text the word Now Matters, all one word, to 31996, and that'll allow you to fill out some surveys to make some to result in donations given to our Hopeathon campaign that's going on right now.
Hmm.
For
Yep.
those of you who've already done it, awesome, thank you so much. I knocked out my 75 surveys probably I don't know a couple days into it, so we are in full swing on that one, man.
I applaud you for that, man, because it's taking me a little minute.
See,
I
it didn't
applaud you
really
for
take me
how
that long.
I don't know how you did 75 so fast. Hmm.
It
I'll
wasn't
get
that
there.
bad for
I'll
me.
catch up.
It
Yep.
wasn't that bad. I knocked out like 40 the first night. They only took like 20, 30 seconds to do, man. They were really fast. But
Yeah.
regardless, I
I'll get
digress.
there.
That's all the house cleaning. So for everybody who knows, that's what we're doing.
Yep.
Um, but so today, we wanted to do our yearly kind of show on giving thanks and just gratitude, being appreciative. Relatively
Yep.
lighthearted show today, but we just wanted to, we got to touch on it, right? Because I think that that's something that, especially in today's world right now, what we're all going through, it's so hard to kind of think about giving thanks, right? Like, there's so many things. We're as a species, right? We lend ourselves very much to finding the negatives in life.
Mm.
We typically kind of gravitate to the stuff that we don't like or what's happening that we don't have or vice versa.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
just on a regular day, that's kind of what we gravitate to oftentimes.
Oh.
But in today's world, uh, it's insane, right? Like there's if you ever were short on things to not like, welcome to 2020, right? There's quite a bit going on. Um, between all the normal everyday, just hustle and bustle that kind of, doesn't
Yeah.
go our way. Then you got the whole COVID situation. You got the election stuff. If you're a 49ers fan, all your players are hurt right now. Like, so there's just no shortage of things to kind of dwell on,
Right.
if you felt so inclined, right? Um,
Right.
and I got to be honest, man, I don't like it. I normally
What is it?
I'm
What
not.
what is it you don't like?
Well, I'm normally I'm not the holiday guy, right? Like I'm just not that
Right.
guy. Never have been. So I don't really get into the
True.
spirit of these holidays. And it's usually the people around me that are really into it that kind of drag me into it, right? Like their excitement kind of reels me in to where I feel like out of place if I'm not getting into it. So then I feel
Yeah.
like okay, I start to get into it, right? And I didn't realize how much I appreciated that until now. Because now I look around, a lot of people around me are kind of like I was, where it's just like, whatever. And I don't
Mm.
like it. I don't like everybody coming down to my level. I like it when everybody's up here and I need to get up there.
Yeah.
Um, it's a weird feeling to look around and have nobody, have basically everybody just as apathetic as I am when it comes to the holidays. Um, because I'm fully aware that my apathy is not good and not the norm, right? Like I wasn't raised in a big family. They were never really majorly celebrated for me, so it was always just like, whatever, it's here. Um, but I'm fully aware that that's not awesome, right? So
Right.
I like the fact that the people around me kind of guilt me into it, right? And not on purpose, just their energy makes me realize, gosh, I really need to get into this, and so I started to kind of get a little bit more fired up. But
Yeah.
gosh, dude, lately, like everybody I talk to is just like, just because it's like
Horrible.
I know somebody who is really big in the holidays, right? And throwing parties and just having people over, and every year they have like a Thanksgiving, every year they have a Christmas decorating thing for the tree. And this year they don't know if they're going to have any of them. For Thanksgiving, it
What?
might, yeah, for this year it just might be one or two of them. Because our COVID cases are going up like crazy right now, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
everybody's just unsure, right? Like they're all pulling back a little bit. And there's two schools of thought on that, right? Like one school of thought is you absolutely need to pull back because it's serious and you got to respect that. And but then there's another
Well,
school of thought where because it is an invisible enemy, where you have people saying, no, man, you do, like forget about it, go out and live your life. Um, and there really is no right answer, right? Each person has to
well,
decide what's right for them. But
yep.
all that was basically just a long-winded way of me saying there's still plenty of things to be grateful for, though. There's plenty of
Oh,
gratitude to go around. I mean, we're alive, right? I mean, we're living the dream. We're living somebody's dream. There's somebody out there right now. Once again, unless you're that one person, but there's somebody out there right now looking to you in your life saying, "Man, I wish I had that life." And I think it's
right.
so easy for us to forget that. It's so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day stuff, man, that we forget just how freaking awesome life really is, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, stupid little things, dude. Right now, I'm in my daughter's room, and I'm able to look out into my backyard essentially. And my backyard is nothing like crazy. It's nothing fantastic, but on the back side of my fence, my neighbors apparently have recently planted a lemon tree, and I'm seeing it poke up over, and there's just like a ton of lemons. I don't know why, but that's like the coolest thing. Yeah, I'm not even like a lemon guy, but I love the fact that there's a huge lemon tree in my backyard now. Like it's really kind of cool. It's a little thing like that I noticed, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. Um, which sounds like a stupid mundane thing to a lot of people. And I probably
Right.
won't
Right.
go. I won't pick any because I mean that's just disrespectful. But I like just knowing that there's a full-fledged lemon tree in my backyard. I think that's just kind of a cool concept.
Well, if they hang over, they're yours.
Hey, there you go, right?
That's
I think
different.
none of them are hanging over. I have a privacy fence, and they're just like right at the top. Like it goes over the fence probably about a good 3 feet, but the actual citrus is actually on his side. But doesn't mean the wind can't blow one or two my way. But I don't know, man. I just think that I think we undervalue or we underestimate how impactful
Hmm.
gratitude can be. Like we all know
Yeah.
we should be grateful, and it sounds like a good thing, but so many people don't practice it on a continuous basis. I think we
Right.
just take it for granted, and while I understand that, I think it's just don't let it get lost on you. If you're watching this right now, um, gosh, don't let it get lost on you on how impactful being grateful is. When you
Hmm.
approach every situation and every day as an I get to do this or I'm lucky to have this,
Right.
dude, you have no idea on how that changes everything, man. When you start looking from a perspective of gratitude, the whole day, your whole life, every interaction just takes on such a different vibe and energy to it. Um, it's much like when I used to train people more readily than I do now. A lot of
Right.
them would just go into it thinking, I'm just going to start exercising, eating right, and I just want to lose some poundage. But then
Yeah.
what they don't account for is how much confidence that gives them and how they take that confidence into every area of their life, right? Their family life starts to improve, their job life starts to improve, their social life starts to improve, and they don't
Right.
understand that it's all relative to the confidence that they're gaining by taking care of themselves and just getting healthier. And so the same thing with gratitude. You think of it as something stupid like, oh, there's a lemon tree in my backyard, yay. Okay, but if you do that consistently, then everything you look at, instead of seeing problems, you start to see opportunities or you start to see things to be grateful for. And it
Yeah.
just changes your whole outlook, your whole vibe. It goes along that whole attraction rather than promotion thing, where you're just behaving in a way that attracts people, attracts opportunities, attracts more things to be grateful for. Right? So I'll stop running my mouth now. I know you got some opinions on this. Matter of fact, for full disclosure, the very first group that I ever covered for you, right? Because as your fashion, I'm leaving Tropical on my way home. Day's over, finished everything. I'm about an hour outside of Orlando. I get a phone call. Hey, something came up. Can you cover this group for me? Never covered a group
Mhm.
before in my life. Have no clue what I'm, nothing, just no
Good.
clue. And I'm like, okay, sure. When? And you're like, in an hour. I was like, bro, I'm an hour outside of Orlando. That means I gotta go straight there. And he was like, yeah, can you do it? I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? They're like, oh, it's easy. Just talk about gratitude. I was like, okay. So I went and did a thing on gratitude. So that was my very first group that I've ever covered was a group on gratitude. I thought that was interesting.
A- And did you do it well?
I mean, that's I got a biased opinion, so I think it went
It's
well. But
subjective. Yeah, yeah. Well,
um,
then I did the right thing.
I got
I'm
good
just
responses.
so here's the way I approach gratitude. I have to approach it in a way that that a person can practice it on a regular basis, right? I have to make it real
Right.
uh, practical. I have to make it attainable, and I have to break it up in simple little pieces because there's a lot of people typically when someone meets a person like me, it's because they're not in their best days. They're not in the best part of their life. Things are going south, um, and they're just not feeling so grateful
Right.
at the moment. So it's odd that, well, not odd because it's that time of year, right? So I wrote my article in the magazine, Brevard Live magazine, where I read an
Right.
article. I wrote it on living gratefully this
Nice.
past month. Yeah, it was the day right after the Hope-a-thon, so it was pretty easy. I was feeling, kind of nice and mellow after, the whole Hope-a-thon deal. So I wrote it on that, and so here's where I go with it. First of all, to me, if you want to live gratefully, you have to start off with just waking up and, suiting up and showing up. So when I first started making changes in my life, all the little things that were told to me were kind of simple, but one main attribute or one main consistent message I got was you got to get up for the day. You got to get up out of that bed and you got to do something. And to me, that's a way of showing gratitude towards life itself, to living, to just being in existence, to appreciating the life that you've been given because somebody did not get that opportunity to wake up this morning. I mean, we
Yeah.
always hear stories about this person passed away in their sleep or this person, was arrested last night. Therefore, they're waking up in a jail cell today. So one of the very first things I like to do is just be grateful for the fact that my eyes opened up. So when I wake up in the morning, some people would say, hit your knees or pray or whatever that is, whatever your morning routine is, have it include some sort of like gratitude. Thank you
Yeah.
to whatever you want to say thank you to. Um, because at that moment, just to get up out of that bed is to me is the uh, very first exercising gratitude you can make in the day, followed by many. I can go through more, but every little action you take, like just taking that shower and getting dressed, and to me, hygiene is an act of gratitude. It says thank you for having this body. Thank you for for me being able to present to the public. And so just bathing this body that you've been given, preparing for the day, then going outside in the day, and just interacting with other people, just being nice to somebody, like going to a store and holding the door open for somebody, not so that they can say thank you, but just because it's the right thing to do. Tell somebody good morning or how are you, put a smile on someone's face or smile at somebody. That's like saying I'm grateful for you existing in my life.
Right.
Thank you for being here. So I didn't just walk out of my house and it was some, the world just went to shit while I was asleep. It's gone. There's
Yeah.
nobody here. All those little things that you do to me are acts of gratitude that if you accept them as acts of gratitude, then then they can build upon each other. Now, all by themselves, they don't really mean anything. But when you accumulate them all, like you were saying earlier, when you accumulate all these little practices together, then it becomes like, wow, I've been living gratefully all day long.
Yeah.
Constantly appreciating the moment that I'm in, constantly appreciating the people that I'm around. Uh, Calling somebody, just calling anyone in that day. That's saying I'm grateful for you being in my life, and I am grateful for speaking. And you don't have to say that. Just calling
Yeah.
them says that. just, when you call somebody, have you noticed how sometimes they're like, oh, and you can hear their voice like
Yeah.
perk up, you know, um, because they're grateful that you called them. They're excited that you reached out, and so that's an act of gratitude, you to them and them to you. So all those little things to me are practices of gratitude, Trinity.
Yeah, I think, and while we're on the subject or whatever, I actually remember the how I opened that group. And it's the same thing I've said probably every year if they go back and watch old shows or whatever, but it bears
Mhm.
repeating. And that is, I went around and asked everybody what they're grateful for, what it is. And when it got to me, I said the strangest thing that makes everybody always like, what? Like they look at me weird at first, and that is I'm most grateful for my losses. I'm most grateful for my failures in life because that's where I've grown the most. That's where I've learned the most. That's where I've learned to appreciate the wins so much more. It's brought me closer to the people in my life. It's matured me. It's made me wiser. Like I wouldn't be who I am today without the losses I've had in my life. And
Mhm.
so for those, I'm grateful. I appreciate the losses. Now, in the middle of it, I might not always be excited, that I'm getting a loss right now.
Right.
Um, but I take time to reflect and look at what the loss was and why I had it, and what I could do differently to not experience that loss. Right? Like I just had a loss not too long ago indirectly, and that was the Hopeathon. Right? Like I had to take the L. I didn't think it was a good idea at first. I was relatively against it. But once the train started moving, I jumped on board and I said, let's do it. And now looking
Yeah.
back, hindsight, that was a loss because I was wrong. It was a fantastic event. I'm glad we had it. I'm looking forward to next year's already. I think there's dozens and dozens of people out there who are glad we had it as well. I can think
Right.
of at least one or two names right now who are absolutely going to think that was a great idea.
Right.
And so, but that's an example, right? Like you know, uh, some people could have been, angry or frustrated that they were wrong, right? And could have tried to sabotage it, or could have been grumpy afterwards, or whatever. But I freely admitted, even on air during the Hopathon, I freely admitted, no, dude, I was wrong. Like, and
Right.
that's okay to be wrong. And that's the thing is, I think that we get frustrated and angry every time we're wrong about something, right? Like, not necessarily in that type of an instance, but if we expected the day to go a certain way and it doesn't, then we get angry, we get frustrated because it didn't match up to what we expected. Because
Yeah.
somehow I think that we feel that that's reflective of our value somehow, or our ability to predict, our day. And it's really not. It's just proof that you're human, and you don't have a crystal ball and you have no clue, but you're eternally optimistic, right? Like you're
Yeah.
optimistic that this is going to turn out a certain way and it didn't, and that's okay. Then you just got to look on the drawing board and say, okay, well, what is it? Why did it go this way? Was it something I did? Was it out of my hands? Because at the end of the day, we can't control the results, right?
Yeah.
All we can control is our reaction to things and our preparation for it. We can't, and our mindset. We cannot control the outcome, and so we got to stop judging, or we've got to stop basing our gratitude based on results that we have no control over. Our gratitude should be in the event itself and our preparation and our reaction and how we handled it and did we learn from it, those kinds of things. Um, but yeah, for me, that's, don't get me wrong, I love my wins. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for all the listeners. I'm grateful for
Right.
all the basic stuff that everybody's grateful for.
Right.
But I do pay special attention to the times that I've lost because um, those have been my most humbling moments, man. Those are the biggest leaps in ascension that I've made in becoming who I am today. Is just going through a loss, picking myself up, figuring out what I did wrong, making the correction, and moving on. Um,
Right.
that's more responsible for who I am today than anything else in my life, and so I cannot not be grateful for that.
Well, I think you should be grateful for perseverance. I think you should be grateful for breaking obstacles away, or getting around obstacles, regardless of how they are. But
Yeah,
that's why I like to think that as far as in everybody's daily living, just appreciating the moment that you're in, and
yeah,
and whether that be a loss or a victory, both are equal in how you can be grateful for them, but for different purposes, different
yeah,
reasons, right? So if you had a victory today, something good went today, it's easy to be grateful for that because you're in a good mood, and you're, oh, thank God that happened. Like that's just a common thing that people
Sure,
say, even when they don't believe, right?
of
And
course.
then when something bad happens, though, it takes a little bit more skill. And so if you practice appreciating all moments, of positive or negative, that's really not the reason to be grateful for. It's better to be grateful for experiences than for
Yep.
outcomes. I believe, and so just to be able to have an experience, to be able to learn from, or to be able to appreciate, um, or just because whenever there's a low, a high is coming next. I
Happens.
mean, it doesn't stay low. It just doesn't work out that way. You know what I mean? This is not an infinite cavern of depression. There's highlights available, and if it feels like all you're doing is getting deeper and deeper and deeper, and there is no rise in mood or good feeling, then that just says that maybe I need to really get with somebody and recalculate. There's probably something that I can do to change this better than what I'm doing.
Yeah, I just had some of those moments with my kids actually in the last few weeks because they we got them their own little pets, and my daughter got like a pet guinea pig, and my son got a pet hamster, and they died in like subsequent weeks, man. Like literally, one died one week, and the very next week the other one died.
Mm,
Um, it was brutal because that was their first pet that's died, right? That was theirs. I mean, they've been around family pets and stuff like Skylar's bunny died, things of that nature, but it was never their like there was no ownership there, right?
yeah.
Um, and so I remember when the first one happened was my daughter. I had to pick her up from school, and because we have co-parenting, she's not here, right? So she wasn't here when it happened, and I didn't want to call her and tell her that kind of stuff. I didn't want to mess up her whole. So I waited until she, did the whole
Sure.
week. And when I got her, I picked her up from school, brought her home. I was like, hey, let's go have a chat real quick because I knew as soon as she
Mm,
walks to the door, the first thing she's doing is running to go check out the guinea pig. So I was like,
go
well, let's
play.
go
Go
talk
play.
first.
Yeah.
And so I set her down and I just, I tried to give her the gratitude perspective on it and say, look, I know it's sad, and I can understand that, and it's supposed to be sad. It's supposed to hurt. It's okay.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, but you just don't want it to be the only thing that fills your heart all day long is this negative thing. I said the other way to look at it is, your little guinea pig was like rich, right? Like all the other guinea pigs there were like were jealous of him because they're all living this little thing, and he got a chance to come home in this huge cage that you had for him, and he got love from you and your brother and all these other people. So he had this cool little life that he got to experience that he otherwise wouldn't have. And then you got a chance to tell the story. Like you had him in your life. You experienced him that nobody else did. There's millions of people on this planet who know nothing about that guinea pig, but you do. His name was Coconut, I think. So there's millions of people out there who know nothing about Coconut that can't say that they knew him or had him in their lives, but you did. Even if it was a short period of time,
Yeah.
you had it at all. You can tell people, I had my own guinea pig. I bonded with them or whatever. Um, and even at 11, man, it actually really helped. Like I was shocked that she took to it so well. I like to think that's because I try to say those types of things consistently for the last 11 years. And so, that was all practice, right? That was game
Yeah.
day. And it actually,
Yeah.
it came to
Yeah.
fruition. And she, she handled it well. I mean, she was sad, of course, and she cried, but
Yeah.
by the end of the conversation, she was upbeat. When she explained it later on that night, I overheard her explaining it to somebody the exact same way that I put it to her. And so it was cool to know that it made an impact and that it wasn't, she wasn't just smiling or
Yeah.
whatever to make me feel like I did, like it really sunk in. So it was cool. I'm glad that I'm able to give that sense of gratitude this early on because I know adults who have a very hard time even wrapping their head around that type of gratitude when it revolves around death, for instance. Um, because I don't personally, and maybe this is just who I am, maybe this is the spiritual path that I walk. I don't look at death as necessarily a bad thing. I just look at it as the natural conclusion to things. Like it's like when I go into a movie, I know the movie's going to have an end, and so I don't get upset when it ends. I just appreciate the fact that I got to see it and I know it comes to an end. And I don't mean to trivialize anybody's life by comparing it to a movie. It's philosophically speaking, my point is I look at death as the natural conclusion to life. And we don't know when that comes, and that's why it's important to live days with gratitude and to love and appreciate the people around you and come from a place of kindness. Because at the end of the day, that's a legacy we leave behind, right? It's how we touch those around us.
Yep.
Um, And so, but it was nice. It was cool that I got it. It wasn't cool that it happened, but it was cool that I had the opportunity to help her through that in a way that I think is going to benefit her moving forward. Um,
Sure.
because there is, it's such contrary to how we think and how we're brought up to think oftentimes. But there is gratitude in even horrible things, right? The cliche would be every cloud has a silver lining, right? Um,
Hmm.
and I'm oftentimes reluctant, especially when it comes to when I teach in the spiritual realm. I'm reluctant to label things as positive or negative. I don't like that only because oftentimes the basis in which we label it is based upon our expectations, right? Like it in and of itself is not necessarily positive or negative. It's just how we perceive it. So I don't like the whole looking for positive because if you're looking for positive all the time, then then you're inherently going to experience negative and vice versa. So I prefer to view it as just this is what's happening at the moment. This is what I'm experiencing. Let me accept it and progress.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I don't think there's a real better way to move forward, in your existence without, appreciating all moments. And like you said, even the negative. I mean, I look. The good thing about negative moments is that they make good times feel even better,
Hmm.
right? I mean, like when
Yeah, they
things
do.
are not so good, yeah, when things are not so good, you start appreciating even smaller improvements, right?
Yeah.
Because if you get stuck in just, I don't know, feeling like the world owes you a living, or that or that, I'm supposed to just always be happy, all that, well then, like, real good moments are just taken for granted. You don't
Right.
you don't really appreciate them, even with people, right? You just don't even truly appreciate the people around you unless you don't have them. And I think, like, this whole year did that to a lot of us. I think this whole
Yeah.
year showed us that you can have even a more appreciation for just small little things, like visiting your family like visiting your
Yeah.
family. For instance, a lot of people right now, Trinity, that are watching this or listening to this, that have made a choice not to visit their loved ones for this Thanksgiving or
Yep.
holiday season. Um, and like you said, that's their choice. They can do that. I'm not inclined to do that. We're still going to do it. We're going to do it safely. We figured a workaround, but to not do it for us was just like, oh my God, no, because you're
Right.
also chasing clocks, man. We're also on a clock.
Yeah.
All of us are on a clock, and
Yep.
so there is not one year that you've watched an award show that hasn't showed you all the artists that passed away in the past year, right? Like, so if you watch the Academy Awards, it shows you all the actors and producers and directors that passed in the last year. If you watch a music award show, they show you all the musicians that passed away in the last year. Well, all of us have that. Everybody
Yeah.
has that date, right? And we just don't know what it is. So I don't want to give it up uh, this year. I want to do it safely and say, luckily, here's the great gratitude thing. We are gratefully close enough within a couple hours, which is why we live within a couple of hours of family,
Yeah.
because we have made that choice to say, should bad things happen, should anything happen, we're just in a car ride away from the folks.
Right on.
I mean, we could have lived anywhere, right? We could have lived in California. We could live back in Texas. We could live in New York. We could live anywhere. But instead, we've chosen to live within 2 hours of my parents. And my brother did the same thing. So he's raising his family within 2 hours. We're within 2 hours. We're within striking distance of going to appreciate this moment. We don't have to worry about getting on a plane and getting COVID from somebody or anything like that.
Right on.
What is Enrique saying?
Yeah, I'm like literally 2 minutes from my mom. So matter of fact, she's here right now. She brought
Yeah,
sushi for lunch.
that makes
I,
it
I I got sushi waiting on me out there. And
sushi
guess
for
what?
lunch.
And guess what my sushi roll is called that I get there all the time. By the way, it's called the Mexican
The
roll. By the
Mexican
way.
roll.
Yeah. Yep.
Does it
So
have
Enrique,
jalapenos in it? Is that what it is?
no, it has like some like sriracha sauce on it. So
That'll work.
Enrique says, so am I hearing that gratitude has a lot to do with our choice of perception? I would say
100%.
absolutely, 100% it does, man.
Yeah.
Because think about it, anything out there can be looked at from a place of gratitude or a place of,
Mhm.
envy, jealousy, anger, frustration,
Yeah.
whatever. Because
Yeah.
no matter what it is that you're coming up with, there is a side that matches up with expectations and a side that doesn't. So it's
Yeah.
all really a matter on what you choose to focus on, right? Um,
Mhm.
the example that I use a lot when I was doing group stuff would be, you got two people coming back from fighting in a war, and one person um, had a devastating injury that required a lot of rehab and things of that nature, and they lost like limbs, and they're angry, they're bitter, they're pissed off. It sucks. They're frustrated. Their whole life has changed. They don't feel appreciated. They don't know if it was worth it, and they're just kind of angry. And I can't think of anybody that wouldn't understand where they're coming from and kind of even agree. But like, yeah, dude, like that really sucks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're just I've seen them where they just have a angry and miserable rest of their life where they're just mad at the world and justifiably so. But same exact situation, another person comes back, loses, the same operations, the same recovery, same everything, but their approach is more of a grateful approach where, hey, you know what, I'm still alive. I am able to function and do whatever. And they end up going around the country, doing motivational speaking, and they turn it into an opportunity to not only create personal wealth, but also to share their story and inspire others.
Yeah.
Same situation, two completely different ways of handling it. And that's not to say that if you handle it and you're angry and bitter, like we get it, dude. Like there's nobody that would look at that situation and not understand the frustration and anger. But you just got to know if you choose to live in that, that's all you're going to get. It doesn't get better than that. That's it. You're choosing it. There is always the opportunity to have a more grateful perspective, as we were trying to say with Enrique. In that particular example, the only difference was how they chose to respond to it and how they chose to look at it. Um, and that
Well,
happens all the time.
yeah. Well, when you bring up that example, I'm a military brat. I come from a military family. My father's a retired command sergeant major years in or 2 tours in Vietnam. And so what I think is all the individuals that actually didn't have their dad come home,
Yeah.
the people that didn't have their loved one come home from battle. So if you ever came back from something like that and didn't feel some sense of gratitude, that's not normal. Most of the time, soldiers come back and they're grateful no matter what, because they've left brothers behind. They know they've
Yeah.
left somebody behind that didn't make it back the same way. So typically, I've seen soldiers come back with an immense sense of gratitude. Matter of fact, if anything, feeling a little guilt that they got back safely and somebody else didn't.
Survivor's guilt. Yeah.
Yep. So what's good to know is that regardless of your situation, if you would ask me, how do you work on gratitude? I say that it's the simple things, appreciating the temperature. Like today, if you want to practice gratitude today, when you walk outside, instead of complaining about how hot it is or how cold it is,
Are you talking
just
to me?
imagine,
I
yeah,
feel attacked.
no, just imagine that you're feeling the air and you're smelling the air for the first time since coming off of death row. That is the way that I learned how to appreciate things that I didn't really appreciate when I was younger. I didn't like the sunlight. I didn't like the heat. I didn't like the temperature outside. I didn't like the way the weather was. I hated how bright it was outside. And so one of the ways that I combated that was I was thinking about people that were in my same situation, but with they didn't have all the benefits that I did in regards to the outcome. So I'm a free man, and there's other people living what I think is my jail time. And the reason I say that is because I think it's a percentages game. And I think if you did any kind of criminal activity and you're not in jail cell right now, there's somebody living your jail time because they got the wrong side of that mathematical equation and you got the good side of that mathematical equation. So I can't not appreciate the sunrise. I cannot appreciate how hot it is or how cold it is or what the breeze that I'm smelling and the birds singing and all that, because somebody in a jail cell right now can't get that. And I want to appreciate life as if I just got let go off of death row and they just said, you know what, we're changing the rules here. You're no longer going to stay here until the day you die. You're actually a free man today. And can you imagine what that would feel like? Can you imagine walking out of a prison on your first day after being on death row and already committing to this is how it's going to end? Already, just you've just gotten accustomed to it and you've already accepted that. But now you have this new life that you've been given, and you walk outside and you're like, wow. I would think that I would just stand there and just put my face up to the sun like Dana always does, and she just stays there for a while. And so if you ever see me do that, I'm doing that. It's a practice thing that I learned from my wife Dana. I see the way she does it. She always looks up to the sun and just does like a flower, what a flower does. And so I've tried to adapt that. But in my head, I'm thinking about the person in a prison cell. So, but I use Dana's technique, and then I use that thought process, and together they make me feel very grateful. And so it's really hard to feel sorry for yourself or to feel like a victim of the world or anything else around you when you do that. So that's a little exercise that I would encourage everybody, that if you struggle with that, and you're thinking, oh, it's really easy for you guys to say because you have this and this, I have this going on and I have this going on, whatever it is. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to trivialize whatever you're experiencing. I'm not trying to say it's going to be easy to get over. I'm just simply saying that for a brief moment, you actually can feel gratitude and appreciate that, what gratitude feels like, just by doing a small little exercise like that. Because like Trinity and I say all the time, there's that one person that has it the worst in the world, but it's probably not you, because if it was you, you wouldn't be listening to this broadcast. There's no way that you would have the ability to listen to this broadcast. The person who is the worst in the world and has the worst life in the world, they don't even know they're having the worst life in the world. That's
Yeah,
just.
exactly.
But there has to
Yeah,
be one.
there is one. There's somebody out there, and I feel so bad for that person, man. Like, but no, I that's kind of how I felt, man. When I walked away from the career that I had, it wasn't something that I personally enjoyed. It wasn't stimulating to me, and it brought a lot of negative and angst type of stuff to me.
Yeah.
And so when I walked away from there, that was the last job I ever had, and I quit December 10th, 2010. That was my last day. And when I walked out, that's how I felt, man. I was scared because I had nothing, like I didn't do it the right way. I didn't walk out with a whole bunch of clients and everything else. I just knew that I didn't want to do that anymore, and I was just going to put my faith and trust in my abilities.
Right.
But gosh, dude, I did. I used to joke to people. It's funny you bring that up because I used to tell people like I feel like I'm out of prison. Like I don't even care. I'm just not going back, man. Like so everything just felt fantastic and great to me, even the struggles. Because in my mind, I could be back there being miserable all day, every day. And so that's why I'm so grateful. Even we got highs and lows and everything. For anybody out there who's lived the entrepreneurial lifestyle, knows that
Yep.
it's all over the place. It's not this
Yep.
skyrocketing upward momentum that people make you think it is. But no matter how frustrated I get, at the end of the day, I'm still grateful, man. Because in my mind, I'm thinking, you know what, I can be back there hating life right now, and I'm not. So for that,
Yeah.
I am eternally grateful.
Yeah. And then what? You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
then you're just miserable every day. And if you're out there and you're in that situation, and you feel like, well, Trinity, I am in that situation. I'm stuck in a job that I don't like. I'm stuck in a relationship I don't like. I'm stuck in a city I don't like, and I'm stuck. I get it. Um, Now you could still be grateful, because at least by thinking that, just by observing that, and understanding that and accepting that for the moment, you can at least then realize, but I could change that. I could. Now it may be more difficult. It may not be very convenient. I may have to lose a few things, but I have to measure, which would I rather lose: my sanity, my sense of peace, my sense of overcoming, or do I just stick it out and do it? And if I stick it out in a job that I don't like, then let me find what I can appreciate, and what I don't like. What is it about the job I can appreciate? And so maybe those reasons that you're actually sticking it out, maybe just focused on that part of it, and then embrace that. Wow, I'm not necessarily fond of the boss, but man, I love the fact that that boss at least is present in a business that allows me to feel good when I provide for my children, or when I put food on the table, or when I put this house around them. So my point is that, no, regardless of the situation, it just takes a little bit of increased skill to be appreciative of it, or to be grateful for it. But regardless of the scenario, gratitude is necessary. And here's one other. So I was in a meeting one time when I was younger, right? And so I remember this guy comes in. He's just complaining about how he had to get there. He couldn't get there. He had lost his license for DUI or whatever. And complaining. Gets to the meeting, um, you know, and just says, "Man, it was very hard to get a ride here." Blah 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 blah. So the guy looks at him, and the older man looks at him, and he's like, "Man, you're focused on all the wrong things." And he starts proceeding to tell the guy, "You know what? When I first came in here, I had a license, but I didn't have a car." He goes, "I had a bike, and I went and I took my bike and I rode blankety blank amount of miles every day to a meeting, and I did that 3 times a day, and I went to 3 meetings a day, and blah blah blah." He starts, so the younger guy goes, "I get it. Yeah, I apologize." And it's kind of like sat back and stopped complaining, and the older man felt pretty good about what he had said. And then an older man looked at him. He goes, "You had a bike?" You know. So
yeah,
the point was, is that every person will be able to sit where they're sitting, and look at someone else's scenario and be like, You know, hey man, stop complaining. You got it better than I do. And then, but there's always someone else. There's always someone else, and that's why we always talk about that one guy that exists.
Yeah,
That may be a female, by the way.
it could be
Maybe
anybody.
may actually be a they. May actually be a they. I
Yeah,
don't
who
know.
knows?
But the point is that there's 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 a reason that you can apply to every scenario. There's a purpose you can apply to every scenario, but it can only begin with a little bit of appreciation for the moment that you're in, so that you can get clear enough in your head to not be so focused on poor me, because that's not a fuel. That's actually not a fuel. That's actually the match. You know what I mean? You want the fuel. The fuel is what says, I don't want to feel this anymore. And you know what? I think because there's that crazy guy on the radio or on the TV or the YouTube, if that dumbass can do it, I definitely can do it, because I'm smarter than that guy. That guy clearly, doesn't know his, know very much. Someone's looking at us, by the way. And so they can think there's no way that someone like that should be able to have this, and I can't have it. I'm college educated, I'm smart, I'm whatever it is. Yeah, focus on whatever you have to focus on, but get that passion, that fuel that says, I just don't want what I'm feeling anymore, but I'm grateful for what I'm feeling, because this right here is going to provide me the momentum to get out of where I'm at. There's a
Yep.
lot of very wealthy people in the world that it was the poverty that inspired them to become wealthy. Wealth didn't inspire them to become wealthy. Poverty inspired them to become wealthy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are well fed right now because starvation inspired them to eat. Not, I'm full, I'm going to go eat. It's, I'm starving, so I'm going to go eat. So the real fuel is always the exact opposite of what you seek. But be grateful for the entire process. But just because by being aware of the process allows it to be duplicated over and over and over again, and it allows you to keep it. And that's what's more important than anything, keeping it.
So Marissa put a comment, which I'm going to put up on the screen here because I think it was actually really
Okay.
good. She says,
Okay.
if we put all our problems out on the table, we'd take most of our own back if we saw everyone else's.
Amen to that.
That's actually really good, right? Like
Amen to
if,
that.
if everybody around us all put of our problems on there,
Yeah.
we got to select which ones we wanted.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we might find that we took a lot of our own back because it's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't want your problems. There was a guy that I used to work with back in the day who was the epitome of this, right? His name was Columbus. Um, this dude was probably like the happiest, most joyful person, right? I mean, he wasn't that guy that was just obnoxiously happy, like, no, he was just, every time you talked to him, he was just upbeat and he was just full of gratitude and was just happy, right?
Yeah.
Not a negative bone in this dude. You would never hear him complain about anything. He just never complained, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so I would talk to him all the time. He's just a really cool dude, and I got to talk to him about his life at one point, and just hearing about his daily routine, right? So this dude was working during the daytime, a 40-hour a week full time job with the county. It was the guys that spray for the mosquitoes and stuff. And he was working a full time 40-hour a week job with me at night at the postal service. So the
Mm-hmm.
dude had two 40-hour plus a week jobs. And then he had a whole slew of kids at the house that he was taking care of. He had a wife that he was helping do certain things with. Like, the dude's plate was unimaginably full. Like, I could not, like, I don't know how he did it still to this day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then I think he also, if I remember correctly, had like a special needs kid or something as well. Like, my point in all that was this dude's life for many is unbearable, let alone unthinkable. But I never heard him complain. Every time I saw him, he was like, "Hey, man," and he was always very courteous. He was always very compassionate to those around him. He'd always ask you like, "How are you doing?" And he would ask you how the kids and the family, and he'd always just a really good human being. And you would never know by talking to him that his plate is probably unbearable for so many people.
Right. Right.
And it was just amazing. Still to this day, man. Columbus. I haven't seen that dude in over 10 years, but I still remember him. To this day, I know who he is.
When I hear stories like that, Trinity, is because I think complaining is a privilege. I think the fact
Yeah.
that you can complain, that's how privileged you are. The fact that you're able to complain, because people in deep shit for real, they don't complain. People that have it so horrible, they don't complain. They don't have the privilege to complain. They're busy. They're busy focusing on whatever little crumb they can get, because they know. Nobody gives a shit anyway. Why would I complain? Who's gonna care? What that's not gonna put food on my table. That's not gonna resolve the hunger that I
Right.
have. That's not gonna put a roof over my head. So complaining is not gonna get me what I want. So I'm not gonna waste any energy complaining. I got to use
Yeah.
all the energy I have just to breathe in and breathe out again and just keep moving forward. And that's all I can do. And,
Right
and,
on.
and you'll find that time and time again in
Yeah.
people that when you find yourself complaining a lot, and I love to complain because I am a person of privilege. So I like to use my privilege and complain a lot, blah, 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 and then I'll stop, it's sometimes how I like to use my privilege, right? I like to
Sure.
complain a little bit. But so if you're out there and you find yourself complaining, just know that that's what it is.
Yeah.
I'm an entitled punk sometimes that's going to exhibit some of my privilege like that, and then get back to real with yourself and say, all right, enough being entitled,
Right.
enough, enough feeling sorry for myself. Let's get back to the basics and let's get back to work. Because again, that's the only way that I'm ever going to accomplish anything I need to accomplish is when I just focus on being grateful, not being, I wish I should have, could have, would have. I wish I should have, could have, would have. Don't do jack, man.
No, not at all.
I don't
Um,
want to. I don't want to focus on your wish I should have, could have, would have. I don't want to focus on my wish I should have, could have, would have. I want to focus on what I can and cannot do right now.
yeah. And Marissa, yes, I was. I was. It wasn't that I was surprised that you had words of wisdom. I haven't heard that perspective. It was
That's what
actually
I
kind
heard.
of a cool. It was a cool take
That's what
on
I
things.
heard.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I
Well,
heard. I heard you
I'm
surprised that she
responsible for
had a
what I
good.
say, not what you hear.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
That was good. Oh
Um,
yeah, you liked it coming out of your own mouth. I love
I did. I
that.
did.
Don't you love those? Don't you love those moments when you say something,
Yes.
you go, "Hey, I gotta remember that." But write that down. All
Right.
right. So you better tag the time. It was 1:47 p.m. on Dharma time at
That's right.
1:47 p.m. Let's get that little clip and save it.
Right. So you got any final words on Thanksgiving, man? Any like because we're coming up to Thanksgiving. It's gonna be here on Thursday. Everybody's gonna
Yeah.
be kind of dealing with either really loving the way it's going or being down in the dumps that it's not going the way that they wanted it to. Just any final like, look, man, this is the mindset that we would recommend.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Thanksgiving really is all about the turkey. It's all about the turkey, man. Just like, Easter's all about the bunny and Christmas is all about Santa, unless you want to make it different. So if you want to make it different, you want to put some real meaning onto it, then just allow yourself to put the real meaning onto it, however you wish to do that, and make it more meaningful. Make it about gratitude. Make it about giving. Make it about enjoying time with family, even if it has to be virtual. Whatever you have to do this year, don't give up on spending time with the people that you love, but most importantly, spend time with yourself. If there's something that you need to be grateful about yourself, treat yourself first to that gratitude and just get up, suit up, show up, get ready for the day, embrace it. Every bite you take, just know it may not be, your mother's turkey. You may not be there with her in person or whatever it is, but when you eat, just know that someone is not having. So be grateful for the food that you are having. Be grateful that all those memories that you have that you could flood your head with. Because the only reason you're feeling sorry about yourself this Thanksgiving or this holiday season compared to others is because you were lucky enough and blessed enough to have those others. And those memories will never go away. No one can ever destroy your memory but you. Embrace every memorable moment you have, but the only way to get to a good memory is to enjoy a good present day. So create a new memory this holiday season so that you can appreciate it later on when you're probably going to need one again. All right. Bless you all. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. See you.
Right on, man. Well put. So instead of just repeating all that, I think I'm gonna give my own different take on it, right? And that is, um, I think it's important, and it's something that I'm going to specifically do this Thanksgiving, and that is get outside yourself, right? Get outside your own perspective. Learn how to take thanks in other people's wins and other people's experiences and things of that nature. As an example, we're doing Thanksgiving here, at my house. We normally would go to my sister's brother's house, and all the family and things of that nature would be there. I think last year we did it at our house, but it was small. This year we're gonna do it again, but I believe this year my wife is actually going to be cooking the turkey, and it's gonna be her first time. She's never cooked it before. Her mom has always done it, so she's kind of nervous slash excited about it. And for me, I'm grateful that I get to watch that. Right? At the age that we are, there's not a lot of firsts anymore. There's not a lot of those kinds of experiences that we get to go through. And so for me, I'm going to be excited to see because I know she'll do well. She'll do a good job. So I'm excited to see her do it and that sense of pride and accomplishment that she's going to feel afterwards, knowing that she was able to do it. And I think that's cool, right? And so I'm gonna take pride in that. I'm gonna take joy in that. My wife's face is gonna light up because her son, who's out on his own now and working whatever, is gonna stay the night here on Wednesday night and kind of stay around. So I know she's gonna be happy to see her kids doing well and back in the house. And my mom is gonna be here. My mom loves spending times with her grandkids, and she's gonna be able to hang out with them. Like so, for me, I'm gonna take gratitude and give thanks for being able to witness the pleasure and the joy of and happiness of those around me. And that's what's going to give me joy. And so I would recommend that as well, right? If you're having a hard time from your own perspective, seeing any things to be grateful for, which there are, but if you're having a hard time, then try to see through other people's eyes around you and see what they're grateful for, and kind of experience the joy that they're going to have by having these things to be grateful for. So I think that's all we got for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoy your Thanksgiving. Have fun, be safe, give some thanks. Make sure you guys follow us on social media, like, share, do all those wonderful things. But in the meantime, that's all I got. So now that you know better, do better. Peace. Are you still here? What are you doing? I told you, go do better.